forever.
Oh, good.
Which is fun.
That sounds really fun.
You'd do it if you could.
I would.
You could just jump up on somebody's shoulder. That'd be great. Especially if they were like proportionally that much larger than you. And you could just perch up there while they walk around.
Right.
The problem
about lifting people while we were playing that video game. Well, at least I was. Fucking everyone in that game can do parkour, and that's just crap. Ian, have you ever, like, bent down on one knee and folded your hands together and, like, lifted someone before?
Yes.
It's not as easy as it looks, right?
Depends on how athletic the person that you're hoisting is. Like, if you're doing somebody who knows what they're doing and they jump and you move on like one motion, it's pretty clean. But if they don't jump when you're pulling, it's the worst thing in existence.
See? Every single person in that video game, and there are 5 of them, every single one knew how to do that and was able to easily just...
No, it's never quite that simple. Especially if the person, like, either doesn't jump or jumps too early, because then you're trying to lift their body weight through their front leg up, with the rest of them also not coming because it's still on the ground. And that doesn't work.
See, I knew it. Too good to be true.
I always find it is easier to just throw them up. Like, if you're going to lift somebody, you bend down and just, like, grab their legs.
Yeah, like around their thighs or whatever, just lift. I would agree. That is almost easier in a lot of ways.
Dump them.
I've been definitely the one that would kneel and put one knee up and then just have them use me as a stair.
Even that, I think, is probably more efficient.
Yeah.
You probably can't get people as high that way, but if it's something where you legit need to have 2 people on top of each other or close to it, find something.
Yeah. If you lift somebody's foot with your interlocking fingers and actually succeeded that, you need to get checked out. You are in a video game. It happens to everybody in the video games.
It's true.
If there are 2 people, they will always do it. And be careful, because you might get killed.
Well, that depends on how often you find, like, health packs.
If you're finding health packs, it's not good, buddy.
That's boss battle.
That's watch out. Yeah, if you come into a weird little, like, arena and there's a bunch of chest-high walls with health packs and, like, bullets scattered all over them, turn around, get out. Don't be there.
My guess is if you're there, it's already too late. However you got to that spot is now closed off.
Yeah.
Probably.
Just like a door closes, even if it's like a forest. Then there's just a door there, now it's closed, and you can't get past.
Oh man, you guys, in that video game, each of us get superpowers, and they're like the lamest superpowers ever. One guy has a camera, but he also has the tripod for the camera, so he can reach tall things.
Yeah, he can grab a thing because he has a stick.
Yeah.
He's got a stick.
He can take very, very zoomed in selfies.
Yeah, like inside his neck.
Exclusively, not just like that's an option. Like that is the option.
My guy can open any door with a credit card unless he doesn't feel like it.
Well, let's be fair. He also has a tie clip.
Yeah. He can also pick locks with a tie clip, which he also decides whether or not works that time.
Who was it? Was it Maddie's? Her skill was that she has asthma?
Oh, no!
What the hell?
That was Alyssa's.
That's not a good skill to have. I have that skill.
No. It's like your special thing is an inhaler.
No.
Yeah, right.
Literally. That was like an option on the controls. We were like, are you kidding me right now? You gotta like use your inhaler at the opportune moment? Are you serious?
You got to be careful. My character had a spirit crystal that they could use to calm down.
I forgot about that.
You better
That also checks out, I suppose.
Oh yeah.
It
What
didn't
was
come up.
yours? I can't remember what your special skill was.
a butch lesbian.
Oh yeah, this
Yeah.
butch lesbian.
Oh my god, that's great.
I forgot. You didn't really have a skill other than I'm gonna take control of this situation.
Go so.
She was really good at starting fights.
That's a good skill.
Yeah.
Do you
And
do it?
being in love with the girl with the asthma.
It's not about starting the fight, it's about being able to finish.
I can't remember the other girl's name. But I am such a cockblock too. I wait for people to fall in love and then I go, hey, it's time to leave.
No, stand in the fucking outside the door.
Oh, you're right. It's worse
and
than that.
creep.
I creep
And then I sense it, and I go, "Bitch, what are you doing there?"
with your lesbian powers.
This is the devil in me for anyone that's questioning from the Dark Pictures anthology.
I was confused, but I figured it was something.
You know, it's actually pretty funny that there is no way in hell anyone would be able to guess what game we're talking about with the descriptors we had.
It's better than Dracula's.
Dracula.
Hey,
I murdered somebody. Just
What?
remembered. I killed someone.
Yeah.
I didn't mean
I was watching part of a little video doc on H.H. Holmes on YouTube, and they were like, the top comment was like, "Who else came here after finishing that game?" Which also reminded me, I don't know if you told Josh what that game was. I know he didn't know beforehand. I remembered he super liked Devil in the White City, like, a lot.
Yeah, that book's all right. I can't have like a super positive opinion on it because I was required to read it for school. And as most of us know, when you are required to read a book for school, it immediately tanks the enjoyment of the experience.
I can see that.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the murder note, this is episode number 97.
Murder.
It's called Regicide.
Uh-oh.
Last time, I won't go into excruciating detail, but we did kill the Queen of Internum, Tenegrael, in the bridge of the airship that Internum had used to invade Corenia. We're all kind of beat up. Some of us are looking a little better than others. But as we ended, the teleportation sort of elevator had just activated to indicate that a new person had come to this room. As those doors open and that person walks out, you can see that it is the surviving Internum General Louis.
Oh, okay.
He strides in nonchalantly, sort of walks over to where you are. He kind of peeks him just around one of the consoles to see the dead bodies of the Omni that you all have killed and Tenegrael's corpse. And he says, "Well, this is a fine mess that you have made."
That's one way of putting it.
Just a little bit.
I must applaud you. I'm sure this was not without a certain degree of difficulty.
I would agree. Yeah.
am wondering what you expected to happen at this point.
I was going to pick her up, bring her through the streets, and say, "Hey, your queen is dead. You should stop fighting."
I see. Could I have a quick explanation for your reasoning? Sort of, what did you think the plan was going to be? You would come to the airship of the most technologically advanced army that this world has ever seen, march your way up to the throne room, destroy its ruler, uncontested, and then take her body through the streets and end the war in one fell swoop?
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to be honest with you. That wasn't actually my plan.
I see. Maybe there is a brain rattling around in that head of yours. Tell me, excuse, what was your name again?
Ashote.
Ashote. What, pray tell, was your plan then?
I actually wanted to communicate with the ruler and was met with a child throwing a tantrum.
Tell me, how is the education system in Corenia? Because I must admit, I'm a bit perplexed that you have still come this far and not understood the part that you are playing. Why did you think it was so easy to come onto the airship? Why would we leave the queen of our entire nation so lightly defended?
Maybe because she wasn't the queen.
Oh, she was the queen, make no mistake. But I must admit, not a very effective one. Now we have
if she
assassins
wasn't
from the Corenian government who have taken out our leader. This has given us an excellent justification for our continued presence, and with my competition out of the way, I can take command of this army and put a better direction to this war.
A better direction to the war.
That's right. There is no need for this senseless violence, or for us to occupy a city that we could simply terminate and move on.
You're very cute. What the hell is your reasoning behind any of this other than just to be, for lack of better words, a dick?
Power is its own reward.
Yeah, that's really cute. You don't have anything behind your brain?
There is not supposed to be something behind your brain. It fills the whole skull, you understand. But I can see that this is a little bit beyond you. But I will say thank you very much. You have done a great job. You have removed an incredible obstacle. And I believe that the entire nation of Internum will thank you also.
I was informed that you would get a new queen. I don't believe you are just going to head everything.
I will take over temporarily, and with these emergency powers, certain adjustments can be made. Already, squadrons of my troops are making their way up the airship for your arrest. I'm sorry that you have had to make this sacrifice. He'll turn around and walk himself back over to the teleporter. You'll hear that activate as more people start arriving. dozens of internum troops armed to the teeth start pouring into the room, 20 or so at a time. They comb over the whole scene across the bridge. Most of them were unaware of the Omni element here. Queen Tenegrael has been sequestered for a long time and has not shared what her closest council members' true nature really is. So there's some shock and disbelief as the soldiers make their way around. Louis is very smug in the corner as they take apart the scene and collect their evidence until one soldier leans over the queen's corpse and finds the dagger in it. And he says, "Qu'est-ce que c'est?" I want all of you to make an insight check.
What do you think that is, buddy?
$17.
24.
7.
19.
All right, we'll give it to Ravi with the highest roll. Louis loses all the blood from his face when he sort of realizes what the soldier is looking at, what the soldier has discovered. And you'll hear the young man say, "C'est le poignard de Colonel Lully." And then there's a lot of hushed and quick conversation in internum between all of the soldiers. While they do keep weapons trained on you, several of them also start to point their weapons at Louis.
Thank you very much, Louis. I don't know if we could have done this without you.
Oh no, sweetheart, do they not trust you?
Where did you get that dagger?
It's my favorite dagger. I acquired it all of my own volition.
The bastard. So this is not the end of our discussion.
I'm going.
We were having a discussion, actually.
I'm going to grab my pendant and use it to activate my divine ability to heal myself back up to half.
Okay.
And also, Dimmy, you will also go up to half.
Oh.
47 for Ravi, 43 for Hashite. You hear some phrases spouted out amongst the soldiers. One of the more common things that they say is "Nous avons nouvelle commande." And then you'll hear some of them say "Envoyer un message." They don't speak your language, but they are trying to communicate something to you. They have their staves trained on you, and they're trying to like directing you to move.
Yeah, I'll move for now.
Yeah. So a lot of these soldiers, some of them stay behind and they're having heated talks. But a large enough quantity of them take you and Louis back to the teleporter. They move you to a part of the ship that you haven't been to yet. That looks like it's the brig, sort of like a few cells. And they ask you something You can't really understand what they're saying, but they are not hostile in their tone.
I will signify that I don't understand them.
One of them will open a cell door and direct you to enter it.
Yeah, I'll step forward.
They're not going to put you all in the same spot. So, is anyone resisting being jailed at this time?
Not me.
No. I want to be fully accommodating.
Yeah, all four of you get a prison cell. Louis gets his own cell. As you guys are walked past, Kriv has to be taken a little further down. So, Kriv, you will see other cells that have other people in them, including Xander, the councilman of the Trade District, Renfelt, the councilwoman of the Upper District, and Ziella, the councilwoman of the Docks District. All of them look like they've been here a long time, but they're all healthy enough to still be alive. They may need a little bit of recovery time, but they seem healthy enough. And they put you in a cell at the end next to Ziella's cell. The other three of you are all next to each other with Louis sort of intermingled with you. And they leave you there, and with a guard, they head off to do whatever it is that they're attempting to do.
You
Now
know, if we really wanted to, I could just summon like a big old demon thing.
Wreak havoc and all these things. But what do you think what do you think all these men with the dagger and stuff like that? Are
We
they like
framed
thinking?
him.
Yeah, they're thinking that he actually did it instead of us?
Gaspard wanted us to frame him. That's so cute. He still didn't want Louis to be in control.
Yeah. That's what it looks like.
not that I blame him. And I'll say loudly, Louis is a dick.
He is trying not to respond to you. He sits on
I'd
the
say he's
floor.
kind of a snob.
His back to the wall.
Like, you think you could, you thought you could get away with that one, Louis? Like, come on, man. Everybody knows you wanted her dead.
Really? Everyone?
This is a formality. The evidence is clear.
That you stabbed her.
Yeah, that you stabbed her. That is clear.
Clearly, you have
Not to mention the
me.
fact that you let us go up there.
There are
Framed you.
so
I had never met you prior to 10 minutes ago.
there are
Yep.
so many bodies on the bridge. The damage to them is not from my sword or my dagger. Obviously, an investigation will free me and condemn you.
The investigation says that your dagger was on the queen, and I think that's the only thing that matters right now.
Not to mention the fact that you allowed us up here.
Exactly.
Let us up here and then threw a tantrum just like your little queen leader because things didn't go your way and you walked off.
Yep.
I have
The
no
maturity
need to
here is
discuss
ridiculous.
this further. I understand what's going to happen. This is only a matter of time.
You think so? You think your people really trust you that much?
I think they understand the truth. They don't have to like me. They have to understand what happened. You are assassins. This is
With you.
a fact.
You're an assassin with us.
You're not wrong.
We're close friends now, buddy.
Yep. We're in this together, man.
Did one of us take his journal?
Yeah.
Yes.
Stan took it.
I did.
You should take it out and read it.
Yeah, I was like,
Remember, I gave it to you, Robbie. You have it.
oh,
Remember?
that's right. I
Yeah.
will take it out and start reading it.
Even better.
Yeah, the journal doesn't necessarily paint Louis in a favorable light. There are some less than favorable things about the Queen in there.
I'm going to whistle for the guard.
He'll come over.
I'm going to take out the journal and point at Louis, and then point at the book, and hand it to the guard.
He'll motion for you to put it on the ground.
Yeah, I'll put it on the ground, and then I'll back up.
Yeah.
Or I'll kick it towards him, whatever he wants.
He'll take it, and then he'll walk away. He's going to contact somebody else to sort of handle that.
How could you have staged such a coup, Louis? Having us take out your guy for you and then help you kill the Queen yourself because, you seem vain enough to want to do it all on your own that way. And she would trust you, so it wouldn't be that hard.
I think at this point, Louis is probably confident that the truth will release him.
Good.
He thinks that his conspiracy is at least vague enough that it won't necessarily come to light immediately, but the evidence of the bodies is pretty clear. Like, they're going to find arrows from Arstan's bow. That's hard to fake.
Yeah. I will sit down and start taking a rest. I figure we'll probably be here a while, so if I get enough time to do a long rest, I will take one.
Oh, sick. We're going to be protected during a rest? I'm in.
Yeah. I will let you all have a long rest.
Whoa.
While you wait in these cells. But you will be woken up at the end of that. A guard will come and open each one of your cells. There's still a nice, sizable squadron of troops to escort you, but they are moving you again. They're leaving Louis this time, but they're also taking the council members.
Yeah, I'll go with.
All right, sure.
Yeah, they lead you at point of their weapons out of the airship. They have, during the time that you've been sleeping, made repairs to the ramp. It's not too difficult to fix. That's still, the airship's still positioned in the same spot, so the ramp still descends down onto the roof of the Corenian Palace. When you get down there, there are more Internum troops. There are a handful of Mochipan troops. And Gideon Lagoon is waiting for you.
Uh-huh. Interesting.
Hey, friend.
Yeah.
Are you unharmed?
Yeah.
Oh, completely. We were able to take a nap.
We even had our own rooms.
I've risked much to secure your release. We have to leave the city immediately.
What do you mean?
It is part of negotiations. Please don't cause trouble with the soldiers here.
What negotiations did you make?
I've been in talks with the new queen. We are working on a solution.
There's a new queen already?
There always was a new queen. She was already born and she just wasn't here at the time.
Huh.
The new Tenegrael is en route so that we might discuss peace talks. For now, we have a temporary ceasefire.
Okay.
I've secured your release and that of the council members, but we have to vacate the city and leave it under interim control.
Don't necessarily like it, but it works for now. We
Yeah,
can
same.
keep going.
It's a tense walk through the palace with Mochipa and Internum troops walking next to each other and sort of flanking all of you on either side. They slowly take you down, and your parade makes a spectacle in the city as the Corenian residents and the internment soldiers uneasily watch you all escorted down the main road and to the front gate to be taken out of Corenia.
Yeah. I will give kind of solemn nods to Corenian citizens as I pass, and like a kind of just like a slight like, come on, stay strong, boys, stay strong, let's go.
When you come out, there is like the encampments that were outside the city of the Internum troops have been vacated. All of the Internum that were stationed outside of the city walls have been moved into the city itself. You can see that some of that is being repurposed by the Mochipan army. They're also setting up their own encampments and their own sort of siege works. Just to settle in, they're trying to protract this stay and see if they can come to an agreement. Gideon has a tent prepared for you.
Okay.
That he'll bring you all to. There's a table in the center of it and fine furs across the floor. He brings you in and he lays down on one side of it. You can see now that he is partially wounded. There's already been some fighting. You can see there's singe marks on his fur, on the top part of his head, and on some of his shoulder blade has like a couple of burns.
Are you okay, Gideon? You need help?
This will heal momentarily. I want to know everything that you know.
As of, I don't know, 10 hours ago, we successfully assassinated the quote-unquote goddess Tenegrael. Her daughter is going to be taking power. Louis, the general, wants to take over the city himself
And kill everyone.
and kill everyone in Corenia.
Yep.
We have no idea how the fighting's going here. Judging by the fact that we're outside the city, I'm going to assume not particularly well. I know that one of the other generals who we had respect for has a lot more faith in the new queen than the old one.
Yep.
How much we should take into that is, I'm going to say, worth a grain of salt at this point, but he was at least honorable.
And it definitely seems as if both generals were completely dissatisfied with the direction that the previous queen was taking.
None of what you've told me leaves this room.
Understood?
Okay.
The
Understood.
assassination cannot be acknowledged.
Why?
I must use this as leverage when I speak with the new Tenegrael.
Okay.
Is there anything else?
Don't think so.
I know that the priestess has a series of underground passages through the sewers. I don't know if any of the exits come out this far, but it's something to watch out for in case they should decide to attack in the night.
She's easily able to move in pitch black darkness and has stolen some of my weapons and magic.
We have adequate patrols for our camp, and no problem also operating in the dark. I am confident that we could repel any attack that they might attempt. However, giving up the city has put us in a severely disadvantageous position.
Yep.
I don't think we have the forces to be able to retake Corenia, should the peace talks crumble.
What happened to everyone else who was fighting in the city?
I was hoping you might have more information about that.
Our understanding was that as soon as we set the signal, the resistance group inside the city was going to blast off and do stuff. We can get in contact with them again and see if they have more information, if they're still there or whatever else.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where we're at. Why would we not use the Queen's death as a means of demoralization to the opposing forces?
Yeah, and take Corenia itself already.
The Queen's death is already a matter of public record. The manner of her death could be used to our advantage.
Got it.
Should word leak that a group of Corenian assassins was responsible for the death of the Queen, we would not be able to end this war.
Okay.
What is it you, and I'm assuming the Empress, hopes to gain in the negotiations here?
Yeah.
He lets out a long sigh. And he'll say, "This is now a matter of nations. There is a power balance here that goes far beyond my capability to understand. I am simply acting as a soldier from Mochipa. I'm speculative that our Empress has designs for Corenia. In such a weakened position, our country has a stronger foothold."
Yeah, our leadership kind of borked it.
I want to reassure you all now that I am not here simply to advance the aims of the Mochipan Empress. I am here as a friend. I seek only what is best for Corenia.
Why?
I beg your pardon.
I just want to know your reasoning as to why you're leaning more towards an ally of Corenia rather than a representative of Mochipa. Not in any sort of accusatory manner.
He sort of shifts his feet a little bit and says, "I have paws on the ground here. The Empress thinks only of her homeland. but I can see the faces of those who have lived and died fighting for theirs. What happens after we have settled this mess is a matter for politicians. I'm here for people.
Fair enough.
I would say as are the rest of us. Or
I'm
none of us.
also aware, based on your previous information, that we are not out of the woods, even with a quelled internum.
No, we are not.
No. Ideally, it would be much better to have at least somewhat of an alliance to take out what is more in the desert. But that's speaking in ideals and almost imaginary terms. So,
It's something I cannot promise. But I and the people I command will do everything we can to defend this city.
I appreciate that.
who is dealing in conversations with the new queen?
I am.
Do you feel as if you are going to share the information that we know about Arsaria and the area there?
I will have to take her measure first. It's important to understand the person that you're dealing with before you play your hand.
Well, in the meantime, do you have attentive wounded? I'll start taking care of them.
We have several. The weapons the Internum possess are beyond our understanding. We took more casualties than anticipated.
Which way?
He'll sort of groan back up to his feet and lead Ravi out of the tent. The rest of you can go if you want, or you could stay here.
I'll go where the group goes.
I will tap him as he stands. He'll heal 13.
He gives you a little nuzzle as a thanks.
Oh, kitty.
And starts walking you out to see the rest of the troops. Is everybody trying to go out on a healing spree, or does anyone have something else that they want to tend to in the Mochipan camp?
I don't have anything useful.
The other leadership came out with us, right? I would like to speak with them.
Sure, we could do that. 3 remaining council members. Is there anyone in particular you'd like to talk to?
Oh, well, Ziella first.
Ziella's separated herself from the other 2 because she doesn't like them. So she is eating a big, like, roast leg of meat. Just kind of like gorging on it. She's been eating prison food for a little while. Oh, oh. So, took you long enough.
Yeah, we were held up a bit. I was captured first. I'm sure that's not a surprise to you at this point.
Yeah, I knew about that. That guy, what's his name, told me that he had you.
Did he look fancy?
They all kind of look a little fancy.
Hmm.
I think you'd have to be more specific.
Well, we got Gaspard and we got Louis. I'm sure one of them talked to you, but one of them's more of an asshole.
Both of them dead, I presume.
No.
Well, shit. Okay. So, what's the plan?
I was hoping to get more information from you.
I heard a little bit from the Mochipan guy. That's a big deal. The Lagoons are heroes over there. So I didn't expect to see him. Supposed to be in on the peace talks. We're gonna have the whole council there. Mochipa. I guess there's a new queen, which great. I guess it doesn't matter if you kill him because there's another one springing up behind him. And hopefully get this fucking shit out of my city.
I'm getting the impression that it might not be our city
Not for now, at least.
at the end of all of that.
Well, that's why I'm going to be there at the talks. We'll do whatever we can. But, if I'm being honest with you, and I might as well be, we don't really have much to stand on. There's two armies here, and guess what? Neither one of them is from the place where we're in.
We were under the impression from the refugees in your area that you were on the verge of being killed.
Oh, no, they were going to kill Clayfoy.
Oh, well.
Next up. And it probably, well, I shouldn't say this. Probably wouldn't have been that big of a loss.
Yeah, he's kind of boring. But regardless, who all even going to be able to properly communicate with them?
Well, we're going to do our best. But I think when these talks start happening that most of the time they're going to be asking me to sit down and shut up.
Well, unfortunately for the rest of them, your area was the most helpful.
Listen, I ain't trying to divide the city. Even with all of us put together, we still ain't got much at the bargaining table. So we got to put up a united front, at least for now.
I think they should all be relying on you a bit more. I think you know more about what you're talking about than the rest of them do.
I think so too, but it ain't a council of one, and I ain't the head of the council either.
Yeah,
It
well,
could be a council of one.
Yeah.
there's no longer a head. You just have a body now.
Yeah, I'll have to talk to the other council members and have us all get our story straight, so to speak.
Did you see anything going on that might be helpful to the rest of us? Who are up there? I have no idea what was going on up in that ship, and frankly, neither did anybody on the ground.
Well, the siege wasn't much of one. We really didn't have anything to counter a flying weapon like that. They just came right over the walls. They got some kind of, I don't know, magic shooting out of the bottom of it. So, we really didn't have much of a defense to put up. They took the city in hours. And they didn't wander around taking out soldiers. They came right for us. I've been spent most of the time during this occupation in that cell on that ship.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's a blast. Pickard didn't even make it to the cell in the first place.
What happened?
Well, she fell. Looked like she fainted or something. Pronounced dead right then.
That's it?
That was it. She always did have a weak constitution. Probably couldn't keep up with all the pressure and stress.
Hmm.
Then the queen took Talon not too long after. All the way up to her throne room or wherever it is she was. We only saw pieces of him after that.
Hmm. So, did you ever speak with the queen? Or even see her?
Never saw her. Didn't know anything about her. Talked to some generals a couple of times, but that was it. I honestly don't even know what they came here for, other than they could.
That's what's really throwing us.
That's the best I can reason about it. You have a weapon like that, eventually somebody's going to need to use it.
The idea that they keep putting forth seems so surface level. There's going to be another reason. You don't just take over land just to take over land. Like, there's always a reason. Not to mention the fact that I don't see us digging into the ground to take them out first.
Well, what do they even have, right? Like, why would we?
Well, from what we can see now, a lot.
Yeah, apparently. But we've got stuff that they don't have.
Yeah?
What do you mean, yeah? Of course, yeah. Listen, maybe you look out at all those fields and think that it's a bunch of nothing. But that's important. That's the most valuable resource in the world.
Well, perhaps that's their reasoning.
I can't guarantee that if Corenia didn't have a weapon like that kind of power, that they wouldn't have gone and done the same thing.
I just feel as if we're lacking a lot of information. And they seem to know a lot more information than we initially thought they did.
Well, I suggest we focus on what we do know, since that's all we got to rely on.
Well, they already know what's all happening in the desert.
Do they?
It wasn't a surprise at all.
Yeah, I'll have to see how it pans out. It's the power structure. Maybe I'm spoiled, not used to it. We've got elections, a group of people leading a nation, people that the nation agreed should be in charge. All it takes is one insane woman to make that whole nation turn upside down.
True.
And a slew of them because they're all part of the same family.
Yeah, I'm not excited to see another. I never even got to see the first one.
It wasn't a lot to look at.
Well, that's a relief.
Oh, here, I can show you. Here's a picture of the new one, actually. I forgot I had that. Here you go. Look at that.
Got him.
There's two of them here. Which one is it?
This one.
Yeah, who's the other girl?
The general's daughter, I'm guessing?
Ah, okay.
The nicer one, the less obnoxious one.
Where's that general?
Ooh. Hmm.
It's out of the picture.
All right. A lot of casualties in war, and not all of them end up in a body bag.
Well, it's not in a body bag.
Oh, I don't mean him. I mean the girl.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, at least you guys are all right.
Did the other guy came with you guys? The tiger guy?
Which guy?
They came with with Gideon, another tiger guy?
Oh, you probably want to ask him. Listen, I came out of that jail cell just same as you.
Yeah.
I
was
just
wondering
got
if you
here.
knew more.
I'm trying to get a bite to eat and then try to talk to some people, figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you saw a tiger look-alike guy with Gideon. That's all.
I mean, listen, I don't want to sound ungrateful, but I wouldn't know. I couldn't tell you. I've seen a lot of guys with stripes and stuff. I don't know.
Are any of the resistance out here? You seen anyone?
What's that?
I'm not sure if this is a question we're not supposed to answer.
Listen, we'll save it for when we talk to the Queen, yeah?
Okay.
I was under the impression that we were not speaking to the Queen. That's all you.
Oh, what? That guy didn't want you being there?
I don't know.
You're freaking Corenian diplomats. Of course I'm going to have you at the peace talks. Representing Corenia. I'll put my foot down on that one.
All right, but we're not politicians.
Well, at least you, Ajite. I don't know, man. Others can come if they want. I don't know if they don't have to say much.
Wow.
I didn't try to say anything bad. I'm just saying, like, you know, everybody fills their role, right?
Hey, don't complain. I was called the leader much too long for you to complain now.
Oh, I will. But it's okay. You know me. I always complain.
All right, well, get some grub, rest up. Hopefully she'll be here soon. I don't know how long it's supposed to take her.
I'm not sure, but they have teleportation equipment.
Yeah, could be any minute then, huh?
Yeah. I'm gonna eat. Sounds great. It's been a minute.
Gideon's gonna lead Ravi through wounded Mochipan troops. They have some internum prisoners, not very many, that are also wounded that he would like you to take a look at.
Yeah, I will start off with Aura Vitality and start just healing the most injured looking ones. I will use my divine ability to heal everybody at least a little bit. I can do that twice. So I can heal probably 50 people.
Okay. One of the more injured Mochipan troops is Jareki's son. Jareki is Gideon's friend from the Darkened Forest area.
Yep.
You can heal him, but he's going to have to be non-combat for a long time. This is probably the last thing he's going to do in this war. He'll need several years of like sustained recovery, but he should live.
Damn, several years.
With him, I'll stop and talk with him probably a minute. How you feeling, man?
I've been better.
Yeah, I can tell. Healing can do much, but it should ease the pain a little bit at least.
You don't have to worry about me. I'm not going to have any more problems. Just keep an eye on my dad.
For sure. If everything goes according to plan, there hopefully won't be much more fighting, but who knows?
I didn't even see it coming. I went down before we even reached anyone.
Their weapons are so much more advanced than anything either one of our nations have. It's just bad luck, really.
It seems unfair.
I feel that, actually. Quite a bit of that going on. But we're both alive, and that counts for something. It might take us a while to get back to full strength or what have you, but so long as we're still standing and still breathing, we got something.
I'll do what I can. What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna continue to heal. You fine folk, get as many people up in fighting shape as humanly possible. And then we wait. If things go to peace, I got a problem way out west to go deal with. If things don't go to peace, then I got my home to fight for.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose there's not much choice at this point, huh?
No. We're all in one way or another bound to the powers that be, as frustrating as I find it a lot of the time. I just seem to be trading individuals who are pointing me where to go. That's all.
Well, I've seen enough that if you point, I think other people will go.
I appreciate that.
I'm gonna sleep now.
Good idea. And I'll give him a light kind of pat on the shoulder as I pass him and continue on my way.
Yeah, it'll probably be most of the day before there's any change in the demeanor of the troops. But when we start getting closer to sunset, is when we'll receive word that the new Tenegrael is soon to arrive. So Gideon will collect the other people that are meant to be involved in the peace talks. He brings his friend Jarecki. He gathers the members of the council, and Ziela insists that the four of you be present also. To which he agrees without any, without any disagreement. He gives, yeah. You gather in the same tent that Gideon brought you to in the first place, that has a central table and rugs on the floor. And he bids you all wait there while he goes to receive the new queen.
Yeah.
So, let's get our story straight, yeah? How do we want to deal with this new situation? You've got the council members here that you could bounce stuff off of if you want to. Peace talks are about to happen. If you have anything that you could use to try to get this war to end without any more fighting, now would be the time to sort of like discuss and find those solutions.
I don't suppose, and I'll look at the council. Any of you guys know what they're actually looking for here, do you?
Nope.
Yeah, the councilwoman Renfeld Clayfoy from the Upper District looks down her nose at you because she doesn't like you, Ravi. And she'll say, they're looking for what any conquering nation is looking for: land, resources, new people to trot underfoot.
Maybe that's what you're looking for, but it's not the impression I get.
I agree.
Was Louis still in the cells when we left?
When we left, he was, yeah. Whether he's still there now, who knows? They have his journal, so whatever is in the journal that indicts him will be beneficial. I'm thinking we could try to come up with a story that he paid us to help take out the guards with some of the obnoxious sums of money that we have, if it comes to it.
That still puts us at fault for agreeing to such a matter just over money as diplomats. It doesn't look good.
I don't see how we get out of this without them finding out. Like,
Yeah.
I would not bring it up willingly, but if we are pressed, I think we have to have a story. And I think the fact that we were paid to help get Louis into the room to kill the queen, and to help her, or help him kill the queen, is the best story, right? So basing off the evidence, they know that we all attacked them. We know that we killed the guard. We can use the fact that the guard that was shot in the back was done so by
Their weapon.
Yeah, by their weapon. We could use that into our favor, saying that he was used to open the door and was killed.
We took out Gaspard first, his most immediate competition.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were definitely not allies. I think it's important to mention, and there were other guys to be there for that he just let us go up there.
Yeah. He definitely did do that.
He just went bye and left.
So I think we try to play that route should that come to be. As far as other, talks goes, outside of, favorable merchant deals, it's hard to say, but again, we don't know exactly what they want. If it is just land, we can give up lots of land. We don't have enough people to cover the land anyway. Like, if they want most of the land to the east of here, that's an easy give up for us, if that's all they're looking for. We don't have the people to man it anymore.
I mean, if he hired us, when would he possibly have been able to do it? We hadn't met him before then.
When you were captured,
That's it?
he
When I
met you
captured?
he met you in secret, said, "Hey, I've got a proposition to make. I will help let you go if you agree to do this to me." You agreed, obviously not wanting to be executed, after you were told by Gaspard that you were going to be executed. And at that point, killing the queen seems like a good enough ideal, better than anything else.
That's a great direction. Especially with her refusal to meet me.
When we met up with you, you told us of the plan and of a monetary value that we could get from it. And we can say that the treasure was hidden in the upstairs thing of the old Freyr church, because I know that's where most of my gold is hidden. So they stash all the gold up there, say, "Hey, do this, get out of there, come back to the old church, go to upstairs, get the gold, we live like kings."
And the ruckus in the city was a coincidence.
The ruckus in the city was more of plans kind of going awry. Like, we were hoping to sneak in there. That part's entirely true. That didn't go quite as planned.
So it's all banking on the fact that I was captured and we were just trying to get out of it.
That is the plan.
Well, you guys understand that, even if this might help us get some kind of peace going, this is still going to get all of you executed.
We can get out of that later. I'm not too concerned.
I mean, if you get out of that, then we might have another problem on our hands.
If we can fight inside of chaos, that's good. They're inside of a fortified city. Like, right now, we have to protect the walls of Corenia. If we agree to this, they'll want to make some sort of public spectacle on it. At which point, we'll have people inside of the city at the time. Then we do what we do best, and that's cause hell.
I mean, the best way for them to make a good allyship with the Internum would be to completely disagree with our decisions and sacrifice us.
Yeah, if I want to look good in front of the queen, I hand them your heads on a silver platter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now you're getting it. Alternatively, we don't bring up the assassination. We try. Like, I'm sure at some point they will mention it, right? But my guess is that the queen here is probably, if she wants to keep control of the city, wants the city for something. If we can find out what that is, we see what we can give. Did every Mochipan representative leave, or just Gideon?
Just Gideon Jarecki is still here.
Jarecki, you don't have any idea what the Empress wants out of here, do you?
I'm here for muscle, but I'm thinking that she's going to use this as an opportunity to expand the Mochipan influence on this continent. We've been beholden to Corenia for a long time, and now that they're more or less out of the picture, she'll probably try to take this as an opportunity to carve the country up.
Yeah, that checks out.
What if our goal wasn't to exactly become the previous city that we once were?
I think the best way to play it might be to be an independent nation that is willing to divide a lot of the resources up among the two other nations.
I mean, who's to say Corenia wouldn't be better off being ruled by someone else?
Yeah, who is there to rule for each of these options?
Yeah, Renfeld will say, well, I should say that would be a travesty for the Corenian people.
You're one of the most incompetent people I have ever met in my entire life. I could literally find a random person out there, put them in your position, and they couldn't have done a worse job.
I
And
haven't murdered my own family and the queen of a foreign nation.
And I am still more competent than you, because at least I do what I set out to do. I've met the Empress. She seems on the up and up, from all I can tell. As for the new queen, obviously I have no idea, but I think if we have the choice, we would like to be under Mochipan rule if we have to pick one of the two.
All I'm saying is if we vehemently go toward the idea that we want to be a single nation by ourselves, we're shooting ourselves in the foot.
I was thinking more of like a city-state. So, like, Corenians rule the government of Corenia, but under the jurisdiction of the Empress. So, like, if the Empress has a goal in mind, the people who rule Corenia proper will do their best to work with the Empress and the Mochipan ideals to accomplish whatever that task is. But as far as, like, running the city, day-to-day operations, all of that is still run by Corenia.
So making Mochipa a suzerain.
Kind of, yeah.
Like we did with Tarsaria.
Yes.
Okay, I don't know if this is even the time, but can I ask, is there any sort of connection, and I mean this just quite literally as a question, between the Empress and any of this Tenegrael stuff? I ask only because of the darkness in common. I don't know if that's something that's shared that would maybe be a bonding point of connection. I don't know.
Jarecki will say, the Empress is from the same jungle that I am. Unless you think that I have connection to the goddess of darkness.
We're not sure. Like, it's just...
We don't know how far-reaching Tenegrael's gotten at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
or
at least
it's just a religion, even.
Yeah, I don't mean to imply anything, even political, with the connection. My initial impression of it was more of a spiritual thing, and that's why I wasn't sure if there was
the entire...
a shared reason or a coincidence.
There are people in Celia who venerate Tenegrael as a goddess, but worship isn't uncommon for the gods and goddesses across the world.
Fair enough.
You had a temple to Tenegrael here in your own city.
Yeah.
We sure do.
Yeah. We sure want to not have her around.
Yeah, I don't know how much help she really was, but it certainly didn't help us.
Where is she in all of this? She's not coming to this meeting, right?
No, I don't think so.
Who's Chi? What are we talking about? Catch us
Kiara.
up. Kiara, refresh me, please.
The priestess of the Tenegrael temple in Corenia. She didn't leave very much.
She seems to have enough pull to get me at least super close to the flying ship.
Incredibly loyal.
Yeah, so that we had somebody working on the inside then, yeah?
You absolutely did.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm.
Well, maybe we gotta take another look at the temple district.
Yeah, I think the problem is that nobody, as far as anybody else knew, the majority of the gods weren't real, and therefore there was never any reason for any scrutiny because they weren't real. In this case, at least 2 of the 3 are very real. Whether they're deities or not is a different story.
Yeah.
Free.
It becomes a problem having a religion in your city when the head of your religion is actually the ruler of a opposing nation.
Yep. But again, nobody knew. Like, nobody knew that it was anything more than just a goddess or a person or anything else. Didn't know it was a nation.
And all I'm saying is, I've met a god before. I've fought a god before, and that was no god.
Yeah, that's true. We
Completely agree with that.
we couldn't kill Njord or Freyr, so
Didn't Freyr say there were no gods, just those powerful enough to seem it?
yeah, I'd include the lightning storm in things that are like gods that we could not kill.
She was by no means weak, but she was by no means a god.
Yeah.
Yep.
What do you think the new one's a god?
I don't
No.
think this godliness can be passed down like that. I think it's crap.
All right, I think this is getting in a little over our heads. If we're going to talk about the nature of gods during our peace talks, I think we're going to be here until, next decade. Well, let's try to tighten our focus a little bit more. And just get whatever we can.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the end, I think we should just stay as open as we can.
Gideon will return. He enters through a flap on the side of the tent, walks silently around to the other side of the table. Behind him is a young woman. She has 4 guards with her. They wait at the door outside of the tent. She walks in veiled. And as she comes up to the table, she draws back her veil to reveal that she is barely, if even at all, older than the image in Crib's drawing. So maybe like late teens, early 20s girl. And before anyone else has a chance to say anything, she quietly says, I require that we are sworn to secrecy.
Yeah, I agree.
Of course.
Okay.
I am afraid that your word will not be sufficient. I require a magical binding. I think this is in the best interest of all in attendance.
Do you have a spell in mind?
A simple blood pact should suffice.
Wouldn't be the
For
first time.
Everyone? For everyone?
Those unwilling to participate, I think we'll have to deal with them later. As a show of good faith, I will be the first to enter.
I'll hold out my hand out after she does.
She sort of traces out a rune on the center of the table that almost darkens as she draws it, like she's scorching the table, kind of. And then she uses a knife and cuts her hand and places it on the rune. And when Ravi holds out his hand, she doesn't cut you. She turns the knife around and extends the handle to you.
I will take it and mimic the same thing she did. And just give myself a quick slice. And I'll pass it to whomever.
Gideon will take it next.
You're way too trustworthy.
He puts his massive paw up on the table, almost covering half the table with just one big foot. Sheds a lot more blood than everyone else. Jarecki is immediately behind him doing the same thing.
I have no other options. I'll do it. I guess.
Okay.
Two.
Yeah, I'll go last.
Renfeld also protests. She refuses to have her hand cut. Then Ziella takes the knife and cuts her hand for her and forces it under the center of the table. After seeing that, Xander, the council member from the trade district, will do his own hand, sort of sheepishly. And then Ziella finishes off the trio and hands the knife to you, Hajite.
Of course.
The new Tenegrael will say, I thank you all for your sacrifice. I think that this is an important measure to ensure the peace of our nations. There are many things that I am not aware of, and I believe that there are many things that the rest of you do not know about Internum that could be very important for deciding our future.
Okay.
Since I am a visitor to these lands, I will be the first to offer what knowledge I have. Internum is an isolated nation. We have chosen not to interact with the rest of the continent or the outside world. Part of the reasoning for this is that we are entailed underneath the ground. We live beneath the mountains. I think most of Corenia and Mochipa is at least aware of this, perhaps through rumors or expatriates. What you may not know is that our underground dwelling was not initially by choice. Internum is really two nations. There are those, such as myself, that dwell beneath the mountains, and then there are the others that live on the plains, above the ground. Their life is one of rampant chaos and unquenchable bloodlust. To coexist with them proved to be an impossibility, and so my forebears were forced to seal themselves away for their own safety. We have toiled away, eking out a mere living in the caves and tunnel systems that we created for ourselves. It has changed our physiology over time. Even now, I have found it difficult to travel here. The brightness of the stars is almost too much to bear. But my mother chose to make contact with those that used to butcher us. This occurred after she made a profound discovery. It is this information, amongst others, that has forced me to require you to swear secrecy. For public knowledge, the continents of Mochipa and to a lesser extent Taufel are the only sources of naturally occurring magite. My mother, the Tenegrael, has found more under the ground in Internum and has used it to create the magnificent flying vessels that you saw before you. Initially, our engineers were overjoyed with the power of something so advanced. It was not intended as a weapon, but as a means to create a better society. But my mother found those who dwell on the surface, and they coiled their way into her mind and convinced her that this sort of magite could be used as a weapon of war. Their only aim was to spread and to cause disruption. With their influence, my mother became a different person. Someone that I could not recognize. But the Tenegrael is the absolute. And so we follow where she leads. We converted the airship into a weapon, constructed more, and outfitted an army. And that has led us to this place.
As a sign of good faith, I will motion to our group. We have been to Taufel. We have seen what magite can do when utilized effectively. However, there is reason to believe that it's possible it comes at a great cost. The city was filled with monsters who we believe were at one point citizens of Taufel. They were corrupted by something, transformed into mindless beasts that largely attack anything that isn't them on sight. Whether this was an experiment gone wrong or some sort of poisoning from that much maggot being exposed to it, we are not sure. But it is something that I would advise you as a leader of nation be very, very cognizant of. As I want no nation to follow what happened to Taofel.
I thank you for your counsel. I am hoping to use this opportunity to help expand our knowledge of Magite and its dangers so that we might make for a more safe exploration of scientific discovery. But that is a matter for the future. At the present moment, there is the difficulty of an assassination. I have been briefed from soldiers inside the airship that have conveyed their findings, the information that they have discovered on the identities of my mother's killer. They have collected enough evidence to prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that the four of you are responsible. There is also circumstantial evidence that could implicate the Colonel Louis. Progressing forward from this point, as I have discussed with Gideon previously, and how, as I would like to propose to the rest of the group now, the evidence will be destroyed. If my mother has been killed by agents of Corenia, then I cannot end this war. It would be a betrayal of our nation's honor. But if she was felled by an internal enemy, I could use that as leverage to withdraw from the city. But this means that you cannot tell a soul. In the record books, Louis committed regicide, and you were not present.
Okay.
Understood.
Agree.
Now we have come to the difficult negotiation of the withdrawal of Internum and Mochipan troops from Corenia. Gideon stiffens a bit at the mention of Mochipan troops withdrawing. I am afraid that we cannot leave the city until we are certain it has been scoured of enemy combatants. Which puts the new Tenegrael in a tough position, because that would mean handing over Corenia to Mochipa wholesale.
We were discussing previously a city-state-like relationship between Mochipa and Corenia, where outwardly Corenia is a independent nation that is run by Corenian people, And I look at Gideon, but agrees to help the Mochipan people in any way that they can. And seeing as how we all sworn to secrecy here, the way this would work in practice is that if the Empress says, hey, we need you guys to collect 50,000 logs, the government of Corenia would do their very best to move forward that way. It can be sold like you are giving the city back. We either reinstate, and I will motion to those three as leaders, or we come up with some sort of new leader that would be acceptable to other parties, if that would be more applicable or desirable, so long as they're at least Corenian in name, to help smooth things over.
This would be a favorable condition for the Empress. And Tenegrael will say, I'm afraid I cannot agree to these terms.
Okay.
To do this would mean that the continent of Mochipa, the nation of Corenia, and the servant nation to Corenia and Tarsaria would all be in control of one party. This puts Internum at a severe disadvantage.
What if we agreed to give you guys significant amounts of land around where you guys are to expand your empire a significant degree?
Is there any possibility that the people in the swamps, I believe the lizard folk, with extended knowledge of the smithing of magite, could be made to be internum?
I'll look at Hazote and Kriv. I don't suppose either one of you guys have any communication with them to negotiate that. I know I, at the very least, am not, can't speak for them.
Ziela has some basic information about that relationship, if you want it.
For sure.
She could basically explain to you that the lizard folk that live in the swamps at the edge of the mountain, in an area called Mustan Jabal, are largely independent. The area on an international scene is considered Corenian land, but Corenia doesn't have any jurisdiction there, and has no say over how they conduct any of their business. They're allowed to maintain that autonomy because of their expertise in magite smithing. And essentially, Ziela kind of imparts to you like that the people there are in no interest of having rulers.
Do you think that we could broker a similar deal that we had with them for other parties? Or, like, do they care if they're smithing magite, they're smithing magite? If they're selling it to one person, if they sell it to another, is that applicable to them?
Well, I just don't know what this new queen's going to want to do about it. Like, it kind of sounds like she's giving the impression that she might want to get a little more involved. I don't know if they'd be for it or not. We've had this deal since long before I was on the council, so as far as I could tell, we leave them alone and they're okay. But I don't know what would happen if we tried to, push them around a little bit.
What are your thoughts? Go ahead.
What is your intention on your relationship or continuing relationships with other cultures, considering you've been largely independent for so long?
I would like to open the borders of Internum to continuing and persistent relationship with the other nations. I think that we could learn a lot and benefit greatly from an expansion of understanding. We have seen firsthand that interacting in an insular way has disastrous consequences.
Would you be opposed to brokering a deal with the people of the swamps?
That would have to depend on the matter of the deal.
The point is that our deal is very loose. We let them just be their own thing. We can't give those rights to you because we don't have them. We have more of a trade agreement than we do a nation agreement.
That small society functions fairly independently. That's not something we'd be able to just hand over. We don't have it.
We could give you the land that they reside on, but we can't give you the people, obviously.
Internum's interest in land acquisition is only applicable insofar as Mochipa is grabbing, as it were.
To keep everything at an even power balance.
Is to allow Mochipa to have control over most of this continent and an entire other one would give them control of the world.
I mean, it's worth mentioning that Tarsaria is right now not much of a nation. There's a big problem we have to fix over there still.
Yeah, a big one.
Do you feel any which way about finding more land and resources in Tarsaria?
If this is possible, and if this is some way that we can counter the amount of power being gained by Mochipa, is something that I would be interested in.
What do you know of the happenings in Tarsaria?
Of this, I am aware of very little.
Gideon, outside of land, is there something specific that the Empress is looking for?
I apologize for the selfish nature of my requests. I simply wish to act in the interests of the Empress. There is no specific goal, but part of the reason that Mochipa was willing to garner so many troops was to have some kind of return on that investment.
I think as you've provided us with quite a bit of information, I'll share with you that Tarsaria at the moment is pretty much a wasteland. It's been entirely taken over by what we would consider outside forces with almost no direction but destruction. There is no one left there. It's completely abandoned, and all of its resources are also completely abandoned.
I thank you for sharing this information. This means that the acquisition of Tarsaria for Internum is not equal to the acquisition of Corenia for Mochipa.
I would have to say that I disagree. Not to mention the fact that Tarsaria has a lot more resources as far as building materials, metal, anything you would be able to work with as far as weaponry and structures. You're not going to get that with Corenia. You'll get that with Tarsaria. And as far as what we've seen with your nation, you've done quite well for yourselves as far as utilizing the materials provided, and you wouldn't have to deal with your own separate government in that way. You could keep Corenia and still have people argue with you, but Tarsaria would be all you.
Also worth mentioning, if you have both the magite and the iron production that comes from Tarsaria, you control every means of building a sufficient nation. Granted, there's a huge obstacle in the way with this foreign entity, but
Right.
our group is looking to take advantage of not advantage of that, but looking to destroy that regardless of what happened here. That was always the plan.
I think the largest advantage there would also be that many nations would prefer having an allyship with you in order to function with the trades of metals and goods like that. And we would like, at least in my opinion, I would like for us to continue building a relationship with such a unique nation.
The problems that I'm finding with the proposals that are being made is that in the interest of Internum, I do not think that we can allow an independent nation to fall underneath another. For Internum, Corenian becoming a Mochipan state is unacceptable.
Outside of their consolidation of power, right? Because obviously, if you guys got Tarsaria and the Swamplands, you would be equal in power. What is the holdup from the Internum point of view?
The people, the centralized position.
Gideon will speak up, and he'll say, it will lead to another war. Two major powers that would have to deal with one another. I don't see the Empress allowing such a thing to continue. With a foothold on this continent, it is likely, and with access to magite refinement, we would be able to bolster our forces and have a better chance of fighting a battle against an advanced foe.
So what are the implications here? That the two countries would like to split Corenia?
I would say that doing so would likely result in increased tensions between Mochipa and Internum that would ultimately not be an end to conflict.
I would agree.
I think that the room is in agreement that a requirement for peace at this time is that Corenia remain an independent nation.
What if we remained an independent nation, but we allowed representatives from both nations into the council? So if it's a 5-person council, we keep 3 members of Corenia. We have 1 member from Mochipa and 1 member from internum, thus giving the balance of power still in the favor of Corenia, but have active representation to things on both sides.
There are 2 vacant seats on the council. Even if this were only a temporary thing, we usually hold elections to determine our council members. The next election isn't going to be for a couple of years, so we need somebody to fill those seats in the meantime. And if the only way that we can make it work is if we get somebody from another country, as long as we're able to have the people decide when they get another chance, I would be willing to sign, at least.
I think in the long run, it would be beneficial to all parties if there were representatives in that we could just share what we know. We all have major resources that the others need in trade or information or knowledge. It would all be useful and a lot easier to share amongst the nations with representation. That's ideally what we've been doing the entire time, traveling to every nation.
I would like to add another stipulation, if it is possible.
Doesn't hurt to ask.
I would like enough time for internum troops to restock their supplies for the journey back home, and for them to be able to do so without Mochipan interference.
I will look at Gideon.
That would depend on the manner of resupply. If this would result in pillaging and looting, it's not something that I can abide.
It seems as though you're asking us to allow you to take what you want rather than have us provide you with goods and services. That description does not benefit us in any way and could lead to miscommunication.
It is true that there is little benefit for you in that scenario, but as a fledgling ruler of a nation that is entering the public stage, I cannot show my people that when faced with the first challenge as the Tenegrael, that I ran away with my tail between my legs. I know it seems cruel, but this is a matter to save face. This would allow me to stay in power for my country and allow me to maintain influence that would be for the benefit of everyone.
So what are your implications? That they're just going to break into homes and steal and then take it all on the way out, or?
That is not something that I would allow, but this would be, at least for some of the troops and some of the people back in Internum, a way for them to convince themselves that they are victors.
I think it's extremely important that we provide you with compensation is not the word.
I assume you guys use gold and stuff, correct? As forms of currency?
Yes, there is an abundance in Internum.
If we agreed to let you guys take a decent amount of gold, but you leave homes and other buildings in relatively fine condition, would that be acceptable?
We would be more than happy to provide you with food and materials that would keep your soldiers safe and healthy.
That as well.
I can agree to these terms with one addition. We would like some examples of magite refined instruments. A sharing of technology.
I'll look at Ziella. I don't know how much we have of that at the moment.
We definitely don't have anything like the kind of weapons that they're running around with, or like giant flying machines. But I don't know. We could just give them whatever, a little couple baubles or something. I don't know. Find some, like a wizard or something that knows something about magite that could help them out.
Did you have something in mind? As Ziella mentioned, we don't really have a whole lot in the way that's super advanced that I think you could bring back and show off as some sort of marvel. It'd be more decorative than anything.
I'm less looking for something as advanced as Internum technology, but rather something created in a different method than we have used. Whatever you might have, preferably something created by a master, or maybe your most esteemed engineers.
Well, I would say that I have a skull with a rather large piece of magite put together by someone I would consider a master smith of magite.
Is this something that you have currently in your possession?
Rather, I would say that you have taken it. It's within the Temple of Tenegrael.
I see. So, are you willing to negotiate
Taken.
something that we might be able to maintain this artifact?
We'd have to visit the temple.
This is something that my troops and I can handle for ourselves. I simply am asking if there is, if you are avoiding possession of this object, specifically as a negotiation for us to return with.
Yes.
Then I think that we have reached something of an agreement. If someone could go over all of these stipulations.
Corenia agrees to grant 2 seats, one to Mochipa and one to the Internum, to act as business members inside of Corenia. Corenia, however, does remain an independent nation. In addition, the people of Internum will have access to a artifact of expert crafting to display, to examine, to do whatever they should so choose, as well as gold and provisions for the ride home. I'll look at Gideon, see what he thinks.
I wish that I could agree to this, but I feel that Mochipa may need something more.
What if we granted the lands of the swamps to Internum and Tarsaria to Mochipa?
Tarsaria is overrun. At this point, I think that those lands aren't anyone's to give away.
We would have to take them, but like I said, we're going to do that. So the provision could be, depending upon our victory over the judge.
I'll have to discuss with the Empress before I can make any official decision.
What about a share of knowledge of technology from Internum's?
This is something I think the Empress may be interested in. Tenegrael will say, our technological advancement is our greatest advantage. It is not in our best strategic interest to share that information with other nations, but in the interest of peace, we are prepared to make some limited contribution. The scope of which is likely best discussed with a scientific team from Internum. If this is suitable for your Empress. Gideon is hesitant to formally agree to anything right now, but he'll say, I'll have a word with her. If this is an acceptable arrangement, I would be willing to move forward.
I will look at the 3 council members. I don't imagine any of you have issue with the proposed plan.
I want to make a couple stipulations. These guys told me that there was a resistance group in the city. I want full amnesty for them. Gideon doesn't have any problem with that since they were fighting on his side. Tenegrael will have to ponder for a moment, and she'll say, is this an answer that I could provide later, perhaps when the Empress has communicated her decision? And Ziela will nod shortly in agreement. The other council members are kind of messed up right now. Renfelt is not a great councilwoman, and Xander is a little outside of his wheelhouse. He's used to dealing with city matters, and now this is a discussion between nations, and he's unprepared. This is more Talon's realm.
Yeah, you said a couple of stipulations. Was there another?
Yeah. See, the new the council members, I guess, the Mochipan and the Internum. Um, I want to be able to have some input on who that's going to be. And I want these guys in on it too. And Tenegrael will say, I do not have any problem with this. I don't think that you know too many people from Internum, so it might be a random selection in this instance. But as long as we are able to give final approval, I can acquiesce to this request.
If at all possible, would you be willing to nominate a few people that you think you would like to have for the job? Say you give us 5 people, we narrow down to like 2, and you pick the final one.
Yeah, both Ziela and Tenegrael can agree to that. Gideon also agrees to there being a selection process for the Mochipan representative, but he stresses that he will not be a candidate.
A shame.
At this point, I think we should reconvene in the morning.
That is acceptable. If there are any immediate injured of the internum that you'd like me to look at, I'm willing to help heal them prior to the morning.
Tenegrael would also like a chance to speak with your group, if possible, outside of the chamber. She will remind all of you that you are bound by blood not to discuss anything that you just talked about during those peace talks. Specifically, the nature of Internum as it currently stands, and who killed the queen.
Yes.
Whoops.
Gideon and Dreki will leave. They're going to go use magic to talk to the Empress. They're probably going to have to do several of those message spells or a different spell that would have a similar effect.
Oh man.
To be
25
able to converse.
words.
And they might have to move that through an interpreter because they're not spellcasters. Tenegrael wants to talk. She is asking who is in charge of your group. I would like to know more about you. How is it that you've come to such an important position? You are not one of the elected officials of Corenia, and yet they place so much confidence in you.
I don't fucking know. I would have to say I have a lot of experience in communication and travel between Tarsaria and Corenia, and it builds an air of confidence around me that I'd be able to work fairly with both nations.
Is there any chance that you would consider an extended stay in Internum?
I would be very interested in that.
Perhaps you could aid some of the citizenry in understanding the cultures of Corenia and Tarsaria and maybe absorb some yourself to return?
That would be extremely beneficial to both sides, I would hope. I would love to learn more about what's going on in Internum, and as someone who spoke with Gaspard while he is not around, I do understand that at the very least his intentions were to share and their cultures as well. And I would like to respect his wish in that.
It is regrettable that a man such as that was lost to this conflict. To move towards a better nation requires such sacrifice that I often think it isn't worth it. I will have to break the news to his daughter in person.
Sorry to hear that.
I will hand over his drawing.
What is this?
Gaspard's personal effects. Maybe she would appreciate them.
Yes, I will bring them to her myself. This will be difficult for all of us. Have you lost family?
Not directly in this conflict, but yes.
My relationship with my mother is complicated, but there is no way to completely separate, especially not in a position such as ours. I am now thrust into a role where I am revered as a goddess. There are priests and priestesses, clerics like yourself, that cast spells in my name. And I have to admit to feeling a bit overwhelmed.
I think that's understandable, all things considered. Especially as we have met a couple of other gods in our travels.
You are well traveled?
Very.
Yes.
Yeah, very far.
Oh, it's very interesting. I do not think you have spoken yet. Is there...
I'm Arveston. I just not the smartest shit in the tool, so I just let them do the speaking.
I do not
I
recognize
say,
your accent. You're Corenian?
no, I'm from the Kraken pools. I'm from under the sea.
I understand. I did not know that there were people living there.
There's quite a bit. There's not many of us left. It's just a little small, a small town.
What is your ambition in this discussion of nations? Where
That everybody gets along.
How does your Kraken pools work with? Are you a Mochipan?
I think at this time I've been the only one that has surface to land. Everybody else just stays under the sea. I was just in search of adventures, and I'm a chef and looking for new recipes and ways to cook, and I stumble across friends. So here we are. They have helped me. I have helped them, and yeah, sticking with them till I'm able to.
I would like you to come to Internum as well when all of the negotiation is done and when you are comfortable.
Oh, I would love to see what you guys prepare for food and stuff like that, and ingredients.
Yes, it should be interesting. Have you ever had a deep crawler?
Excuse me?
A deep crawler? I will have to show it to you. It is a delicacy.
Yes, please. I have not heard of this before.
Tenegrael noticeably does not make eye contact with Kriv.
Oh.
And she says, if you will excuse me, I have to converse with some of my council and mull a few things over before the morning. I must retire. I bid you adieu.
Au revoir.
Good night.
What Ravi said.
Au revoir.
Yeah, that.
And then she'll leave. So, what do the rest of you want to do?
I would spend the rest of my nights healing until all of my spell slots were gone, and then I would go to bed.
All right. Other people healing, or are we just tapping out?
I guess resting till I'll just be with Robbie going where he goes. Just, you never know what happens. Anybody that does not appreciate us or something like that, that'll start a fight, which I hope they don't. But yeah,
Okay.
until we go to bed.
You're Ravi's bodyguard while he's healing people?
Yeah, technically.
Okay.
I could go around and do some healing. Not as much because I can't, but
I want to attempt to learn the Internum language.
You think you can learn that in a couple hours here?
No, but I can have chats with people, and that would be fun.
Okay. Let's make an intelligence check.
Mm. Mhm. 9.
Okay. You do not learn Internum. With a
It's too
9,
bad.
what you can get are like a couple of words and phrases. You kind of get hello and goodbye. Arate is stop. Uh, because some people are tired and they want you to stop doing stuff. So you could try to work with that as best as you can.
Fun. Nice. Maybe someday.
Do we should we can we even check in about that whole refugee camp of everyone from the mountains?
You can, Kriv. Do an investigation check. Most of the people that are out here right now are not in Terranum. These are the Mochipan troops in their camp. So they do speak the language that you speak.
Yeah, I just don't know who's what anymore. Investigation. 11.
Okay, you start to ask around to see if you can get some info about what's happening. Most of the Mochipan troops don't really know. They just kind of made landfall. So for them, they're unaware that there are even mountain people. Most of them are the ones that might know, or that might at least know that you are supposed to be one of them. Don't necessarily know what happened to them. You do get a little more from internum prisoners, but you don't speak internum, so it's tough to parse out exactly what they know. They also don't want to say much.
Hmm.
Now you could press the issue if you want. Try to get one of them to talk.
I'm not sure how helpful that is if they talk in a language I don't know.
It might not be very helpful.
Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know how pushing for unintelligible information would be helpful, unfortunately.
Okay. Then we could spend the rest of that evening just quietly preparing ourselves to finish these peace talks in the morning.
I would want to maybe mention it to the group before, all asleep.
Sure.
Just that I'm concerned. I don't know if we've heard anything for a while, and I think that's a body that's not being considered right now. We don't know where they're at. Also, should I give this back and I hold up the big weird magic stick we took from them from the Eternal?
Just keep it.
I mean,
If they didn't say anything about it, I would say
Okay.
just keep it.
I didn't know if that was if they saw it one day, that'd be a real bad thing that we just still had that. But okay, just
can
wanted
just-
to check.
I mean,
I don't know what to do with it, but just
They could have accidentally left it behind. Come on.
I mean, if you'd like to give it back to him, that's fine. Otherwise, keep doing what you're doing.
I'm scaring it.
I would say we
As if
we
you
can
put a
ask
giant
them.
ass stick in your pocket, I'm positive they've already seen that you have it.
We can ask them and see how it works. I mean, we're on good terms.
I don't recommend that.
I
'Cause
don't
Not
think
yet.
that would be successful.
Not yet.
I mean, if they want our magites and stuff like that, I mean, at least they could show us how to use this if we're exchanging technologies, right?
Well, they don't want to exchange technology of war, and this is a technology of war.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think this is kind of a separate conversation. For right
Okay,
now.
okay.
I don't know if we should. I don't know if we should. I know you always make upset faces when it comes up, but maybe message someone from the refugee camp? Did we talk? I don't remember when we talked.
I can tomorrow. I exhausted all my spells healing folk today.
Yeah.
I'm just worried. I don't know what they're doing, and I don't know why she's all shifty-eyed at me. Won't look at me.
I'm curious about that too, but I don't think we can press her on it, unfortunately.
I'm willing to bet she knows about the storm.
You think so?
That wouldn't surprise me.
If they knew about Tarsaria in a way that no one else knew. And I don't know if she does, but her mother did.
Yeah.
Leads me to believe something in Tarsaria is connected to them, which I don't know if they know about the storm or they know about Belay, who we know is potentially in the city. But
Wait, she is in the city. I didn't get to tell you that. You were in prison and stuff, but she is.
oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
Actually know that. I was just assuming she was after. Anyway, whoops, I was in prison. Oh, yeah, I didn't know she was. Did you speak with her?
No, she's looking for whatever a Lyra is what we were told. And it look really like I'm so awkwardly trying to play it cool right now.
Huh. Yeah. Okay.
She's doubled the storm following population of the city though by being here. So
For real?
Okay.
It's not bad. I mean, we lost the followers of Freyr by half, so you're really moving on up here.
Wait, so you spoke with Jangle then?
yeah.
Anything on that?
Pretty much what we just heard.
That's it.
He's doing good.
Jangle.
I don't know.
Okay. All right.
It's nice to catch up with my one friend.
Well, I'm under the impression that either the old Tenegrael knew about the judge and knows more information. Well, knew more information about it than we did. But somehow they knew Tarsaria had fallen, and she acted like she didn't. For all we know, she knew that too. There's got to be a reason they know that information. They've been underground and then in Corenia. They haven't been any other places.
Yeah.
And I can't see people just willingly throwing that info around, you know?
Yeah.
So, guess we're gonna take a rest.
Just as a hard reminder for everyone, we don't know if the internum is behind the judge or not.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have no idea.
it's possible there's a link with the. We thought the disruption was in those mines from the mining. Maybe a little more. I don't know. It's a bunch underground.
Yeah. Anyway, good night.
Jay, don't you want to sing us a lullaby or tell us a bedtime story or something?
Ugh, no.
Ooh, I like the sound of that.
Do you want to summon the dead?
Aren't you a bard?
I don't want to be that kind of bard. I'm a ghost whispering bard. I don't need to tell you a story. You've seen him. You've watched all of the movie that I've watched.
We have seen a lot of that movie, you are correct.
And I went to Bard College to learn about ghosts, I guess.
That sounds perfectly normal.
I could tell you a horrible limerick I picked up on the way here, but
Yeah.
Do it.
okay, but it's one of those like dirty limericks.
No one can hear you.
That's
It's
okay.
okay.
Typical bard.
Right. It goes, there once was a woman from Q. who filled her vagina with glue. She said with a grin, if you'll pay to get in, you'll pay to get out of it too.
It's not bad.
That's
That
awesome.
might actually be the most bard thing you've done in
Yep.
all of our travels.
Agreed.
Other
Oh,
than,
that's
I'll
great.
say there was the acting, like you did legit act, so that counts.
and I was a mime.
When was that?
Yeah, when were you a mime?
Oh, did you miss that part? I was a mime for a minute.
Yeah.
And a
When
damn
was
good one
that?
at that.
Is that covered in Bard College? How to mime?
It's an elective.
Picture learning history. You learn about it, but you don't do it, but you know enough, you know?
Fair enough.
I've done a lot of bardy things. I picked up a lover on the way. That's pretty bardy. But then again, so did you, so...
Yeah, I don't really think I have a lover. I think I have an enemy, unfortunately.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
It's okay. And the worst part is I can't even go kill her now.
The worst part. It could be the best part. That tension thing.
She has to watch your success.
Where you're in love, but you can't be together because...
She betrayed me and tried to destroy my city.
Yeah, the drama between Romeo and Juliet.
That classic fairy tale. Boy loves girl, girl destroys city, boy gets sad.
You know what? Unfortunately, I've heard that story a bit too many times lately.
Fair enough, actually.
Hey,
Yeah.
do you guys think the internal
Just
people?
as-
Do you think they can read my space books that I have?
Maybe.
I want to read my space books.
It's not in Internum, is it? Be wild.
Dude, I don't know.
Have we ever asked that question?
I can't open them, so
That's true. The cover is written in Internum. Is it written in common characters? Is common characters similar to English and Italian and French all being the same letters but different words?
hey, Hajite, how do we get Shell back? Where's your bird?
Yeah. Have you asked? I bet Husk could lead us there.
She's in the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think we could directly find her through Husk. Or maybe just sound.
You guys have to make a deal, like get the peace talks done first, because Internum holds the city right now.
Mm-hmm.
Surprised she hasn't come busting out of here on her own.
I guess I could have raised my hand in the meeting and said, "Excuse me, I would like my very violent bird back." But I feel like that was a bit much.
She's in the
Megan.
resistance.
Yeah, you gotta fight for her amnesty first.
That's so funny.
I mean, by no means was she vindictive. She just enjoys chaos. We sent her on a chaos mission.
Yeah, for real.
In fairness, that's kind of our specialty.
In
We
her
are
specialty.
frequently doing that. Well, guys, I think me and Arvistan are going to Internum.
Yeah, that
What
should
it
be fun
looks
for
like.
you guys.
I've got a new home. Out of here, I won't be able to see anything if they've got that magical darkness shindig going on.
That sounds miserable.
The magical shenanigans.
They already threatened to take my eyes.
So,
Yeah, I think that's another deal breaker. Don't want my eyes taken.
If I have to get my eyes taken to go I can't go. That's
No.
It's fair.
Me neither.
Sounds
I
like
need
a
my eye.
too, if you ask me. You're not coming back.
Yeah, that's for sure. Like that's a major deal breaker.
Hey, I was told you get used to it.
I mean, I'm sure you probably do to some degree, but that's not something I want to get used to.
Fair.
The idea of the stars being too much light, I'm very concerned for their condition. Not sure how well they'd be able to spend a whole lot of time up here anyway. But there's lots of mines in Tarsaria. I was trying to be helpful.
Well, I suppose if you have to mime your way to the top, you do what you gotta do, girl.
I'm not gonna mime Tenegrael. I'm not gonna do it.
Why not?
It's like being a royal jester, but instead you're a mime.
I have limits. They don't come up often, but that's one of them.
What if she likes it?
I don't want to be a mime.
Oh,
Let me note that down in my journal.
If I wanted to be a mime, I would be one. Like, what would be holding me back? Nothing.
I don't know. Maybe you realize that you had to talk to people sometimes. You're like, this isn't gonna work.
You could be the selective mime.
Oh,
Like on the weekends.
mutism. It's a little different.
In the morning, Gideon opens the flap to your tent and he says, "Come with me. You have to watch this."
Oh, I'm scared.
Yeah.
That's disconcerting, but let's go.
Release the doves.
He leads you back towards the city itself. But you don't go to the gate that leads into the walls. You go around the wall to the east, closer towards where it gets more wooded, to a kind of secluded spot where you find a small squad of Internum soldiers and Tenegrael, and up against the wall is Louis blindfolded. Gideon walks you over to where Tenegrael is standing. They do a slow nod to each other. And then she says in a commanding voice, "Oh!" And then every one of them picks up their staffs and holds them in their hands. And she says, "Duh!" And they all turn their staves and point them towards Louis. And she says, "Twa!" And every one of them fires out magical bursts from their staves, peppering Louis until he is singed, burned, bleeding, and crumples to the ground dead.
Everything well. I said on a low voice.
The traitor has been executed for the assassination of the Tenegrael. And then the troops say, one of the guys in the firing squad does a little salute, and he says, "Vite Tenegrael!" And then they all respond and say it in unison. And she says, "We have some business to conclude."
We do?
And you guys can walk back and return to the tent where the peace talks are being held. Gideon had a chance to converse with the Empress about some of the proposed deals that were being made. She extended the stipulation that the Mochipan seats, and as a courtesy, she said also the internum seats on the Corenian City Council must be held for by either by continuing Mochipan citizens or internum citizens for a period of no less than the following 20 years, rather than just serving out the remainder of the term of the last council member, which Tenegrael agrees to.
That's fine.
What else did we have up on the docket?
The amnesty.
The amnesty, yeah. A group of Mochipan soldiers is being permitted to enter the city, collect resistance members, and escort them back out of the city. At which point they're released to their own devices. And then once Internum has vacated Corenia, they're free to return to their homes or do whatever else they need to do. Gideon and Tenegrael do not currently have candidates available for the council position. That's something that's going to have to be worked out in the coming months, as they have to contact people from back home and bring them out here, or make offers to whoever their selected chosen officials want to be. Mochipa's like weeks by ship, so it'll take them a long time to be able to get people out here to be able to do that. But as it stands now, they are ready to conclude peace talks and begin the turnover of the city of Corenia back to the Corenian people.
Well met, everyone.
Yes, it is an honor. I think that we are merely adjusting formalities at this point, but I'm ready to finish this if there is nothing else.
I do have one question. The refugees who were here, do you know where you sent them to?
She says something in Internum out the tent flap to one of her guards that's waiting outside. They whisper back a muffled response. And she says, by order of the previous Tenegrael, the refugees that were stationed in Corenia that had been removed to make room for Internum troops were relocated to a camp of refugees found in the Fortune Wood.
Okay.
If there is nothing else, I am ready to sign. Have a secretary write up all of the agreements of the peace talks. Tenegrael signs, Gideon signs, and Ziella, Renfelt, and Xander all sign. They don't want your signatures.
I don't blame them.
As those final letters are penned to paper, I want everyone to make a perception check.
Natural 20.
18.
21.
19.
We are so rested.
18, 19,
Yeah, we are.
20, 21.
Woo!
Good job, team.
Got him.
There's a lot of noise outside the tent. Like whistling or something.
I will move quickly. Like, I'm assuming with the way it is, like, the Internum people are kind of like right outside the door.
Yeah, there's like 4 guards, Tenegrael's personal guard.
All right, I will kind of move between the tent flap and Tenegrael, and then kind of poke my head out.
Ravi, as you do that, a sparrow grazes just past, like strikes you in the forehead and zips and flies past you. And you could see a bunch of them just like flying past in front of the tent.
Oh no. I know what this is.
I'm gonna let the tent flap close. We got sparrows, guys, and I'm gonna put like a shield at the gate.
I'm sorry. What did you just say?
We got sparrows. They're moving real quick. I got beamed by one. I don't know what's going on.
Like weird sparrows or
Like little birds.
Like little birds acting in a very abnormal way that leads me to believe that something other than just sparrows is going on.
I want to look outside.
Kriv, you look outside. There's like a cacophony of squawking and squeaking and chirping and honking. As you look up above you, there are hundreds of different birds flying from the east to the west overhead. And as you're looking up at them, there are rats making the same movement, scuttling over your feet. Skunks. There are small deer, foxes and rabbits and all sorts of things. You can see them running through the camp. They run almost to the edge of sight. In places where you can see the ocean, you can see them run into the water.
Call out some bats coming, you guys, and try to look towards the east. You said where they were running from.
Mm-hmm.
Probably going to, as Kriv, look to the sky first for abnormal weather activity.
The weather is partly cloudy. Low chance of rain. We're coming into kind of like the springtime right now, I believe, if I'm tracking that right.
Well, that explains it.
It's a little misty. The ground's a little muddy under your feet. But the sun is currently out. You do see to the east that there's a wooded area before it gets like all the way out to where it becomes like dense forest. There are like patches of, larger forested areas interspersed amongst the different fields and farms that are usually found out here. You can see that some of the trees are cracking and splitting open. And you feel a rumble under your feet.
Oh, I knew it.
Yep.
Damn it.
As the ground starts quaking under you.
Tenegrael, we need to move now.
I'm gonna panic.
She starts moving. The 4 guards that are outside the tent quickly usher her away.
I'm gonna draw my spear.
Gideon will come out of the tent and grab his sword.
Oh yeah, well, I'll dramatically pull out a pen. Take that.
Ironically, the most powerful weapon of the bunch.
Yep.
Yeah, I suppose we'll deal with that next time.
Oh shit.
Think we didn't have that meeting at all.
Right?
Yeah. That's gonna be, I say it's Billy or the judge.
We really need to protect Tenegrael, because I don't know if she's got a daughter, but
She's very young.
maybe. Gonna jump from like 19 to like 5 or 6, but you know.
A literal toddler.
Oh man.
I know.
Here is the 2-year-old queen.
It's not good. It's just
He
not
makes
good.
tiny proclamations. Athena.
Yes.
Can you imagine Athena running a nation?
She would be perfect.
I hope you guys enjoyed probably your last full rest.
Oh no.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Are we good for next week, the 29th?
Yeah, should be fine.
So far, so good.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll pick it up then. I'm going to close out this stream. Bye-bye.
Bye.